Mainly it was like TV and I guess newspapers, but iPhones were really just starting when I was born. I was born in 2003. People were starting to transition from non-mobile technology to more like cell phones and things like that.
During my upbringing, I feel like there was very little technology available compared to now, certainly. Word of mouth. Well, I mean, the media, I think, was very much concerned with facts.
There was a newspaper. Well, we had a television. We didn't have any computers or anything like they have today. So like literally there was only 6 channels and you could watch a handful of shows and everyone watched the same shows. And so when I was growing up, all the kids talked about the same things.
When I was young, I did not get the opportunity to have a cell phone, but most people who did have that opportunity used their cell phones to stay in contact, and it was mostly calling. Texting wasn't as popular as it is now.
We wrote letters. Sometimes we called on the phone.
I would call a friend and my parents would drive and drop me off at a different person's house. But that was really the only technology to talk to each other was a phone.
Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, just many social media apps have like comments and texting and stuff like that that you can do on the app.
The way my peers and I communicate now is a lot through texting, some through phone calls, some through email, but it sort of made the written word completely obsolete. We don't write letters anymore. We don't really send cards anymore.
So during my lifetime, we've had the advent of email, cell phones, texting. I had a pager and we thought that was great because you could just reach somebody and page them and they would call you right back. Now you can just dial a person and get them one-to-one, literally, as opposed to waiting for something to occur. So that's been a huge revelation, I think. So.
I used my iPhone or an iPod to listen to my music. It was mobile and it was easy to do.
On a record player with vinyls. You know, of course, we all listened to the same thing. There were no headphones. I remember I was probably in high school when the Walkman came out. You could take it from room to room and listen just yourself to music, and that was awesome. I remember doing that. That was awesome. I actually remember in college, my friend Erica said to me, there's this new thing called CDs, and you don't even have to like push fast forward if you want to skip a song and then try to judge when to push play again. It just skips right to the next song. And I said, no, that couldn't be. And she was like, yes, really.
I remember like yesterday, I had my eye on this stereo that had an 8-track player, a radio, and a phonograph. I thought I was like the coolest thing ever because not everybody had an 8-track.
iTunes.
I listened to Pandora.
iPhone with wireless headphones.
Now there are more sites where you can like stream music and it costs less money to use, like Spotify. I think Twitter would be the best example. People can voice their opinion about news, and lots of companies have a Twitter account that you can follow. I think it's a good app for if you want multiple perspectives on a topic or an issue. You can kind of look at the tweets surrounding that.
You know, I grew up, we had 3 channels. That was what was available on TV. If you wanted to change a channel, you had to walk over to the TV and turn a dial. So TiVo coming out, that was sort of a big deal where you could record TV shows and watch them later. You could fast forward through commercials and watch them later. You know, when I grew up, there was a busy signal. You know, if the person was on the phone, there was a busy signal and you just called back later. You know, I still had an answering machine connected to a wall phone when I met your dad. So all of this technology that you've experienced as, you know, as a part of your normal day-to-day, it was, you know, those were the biggest changes for us, but they just happened sort of in our adulthood.
You know, I grew up before there were computers and ended up working for IBM, which helped launch the personal computer. Where it started to where it is now, like the advent of the mouse, the advent of operating systems where basically the operating system itself is smart enough to set itself up and run, like all that stuff was just not even conceivable back when all this stuff started. And then what happens when my grandchildren show up is going to be like, what? We can do what?
Snapchat by far, because it's easy and you can text through it, and there's multiple ways you can entertain yourself just by looking at other people's stories and sending personal Snapchats and looking at the normal uploaded ones from like BuzzFeed or MTV.
The telephone. I mean, like, yeah, that seems like it was, or the motor vehicle. I mean, does that count?
The first video games came out when I was a teenager. You know, it started out with like Pong and stuff like that with Sega. And I probably played Intellivision football every day, 3 of the 4 years I was in high school. Outside of that technology, we had TV and telephone. There really wasn't a lot of other things.
It's definitely increased because of the updated phones and the amount of people that have it around you kind of influences you to get one, because if you don't have one, how are you supposed to stay in contact with those people around you?
Well, like everyone, I have a phone on my hip at all times, and I am very tethered to it, to connect with people, to check facts, to figure out who's trying to contact me in various ways. We were really untethered growing up, so it changed a lot.
Growing up, I probably interacted with some form of technology maybe once a week, maybe twice. And now, like, I have an interaction with technology probably every hour. And, I don't think about it now because it's all baked in, but, like, going back to say, wow, the change in technology really it's amazing.